You know, I think a lot of people now understand what they're looking for in terrain, where deer are moving in daylight. And you see a lot of these spots that we go to being set up by other guys. Other guys are getting in there, you're seeing setups. And if you're good at scouting, you'll see those setups, because you'll look for the tree, and there's usually one or two trees that stand out when you go to them. You can tell if they've been set up in. If you're finding trees that are set up in, you're hunting in spots where the cherries have been picked. The hunting that we do is kind of morphed into, a lot more of it is about finding the areas where people don't go. Seeking out those spots that are either looked over because they're you know, right next to a road or behind a house or something, or skipped, or small and forgotten, or it's a matter of getting more remote, more further back, going through more. And there's a lot of people that won't put in the effort that me or you would put in, and that might get you to those spots where people don't go. I recently, asked some friends to go scouting with me. Hey, you want to go pick out some spots? You haven't been doing too well in your killing last few years. Maybe come with me. Maybe we'll pick out some spots. We go in together. And I was surprised to have one of them come back and say, what you do is not skill or tactical. It's just dumb. Going back in these places, that ain't fun. Well, if it ain't fun for you, don't do it. But for me, taking on a challenge, going back deep, finding that big buck, hunting them down and killing them, I don't know, I see that as skill. I see that as challenge. I see it as overcoming obstacles. And you don't see too many people my age pushing those limits and really taking on the challenge. You see it with the young guys, and I admire it. I like a young guy that has the balls, jump in a kayak, go a mile back, and hit some place where he thinks there might be a big buck. Sometimes we get in these places and there is hunting pressure. It's happened to me a few times. Matter of fact, it's getting to the point where it happens to me most of the time. But every now and then, you still find one of those hidden gems. Let me give you a little background on this area. This area, I went in there and spring scouted this year. I've never been in that area. I traveled a ways from home. I found some really good sign. I found some giant buck rubs. I found some, big scrapes, heavy travel corridors, some really good bedding. But I also found what we were talking about earlier, a lot of human intrusion sign, a lot of hunter sign, trail cameras all over the place, people intercepting that area. But I was taken back a little bit. Made me scratch my head. How are these giant bucks surviving in a place with this much hunting pressure? How are they growing old? There's got to be a little hidden area. And you look at a map and you can see that there is an area over from here that is isolated, surrounded by water, surrounded by access that's, as my friend would say, dumb to go hunt. And I'm just stupid enough to go try something like that. So I looked at a map really close, and I saw one way where you could come in from the road, and you had to walk quite a ways, a long ways, but you could get in. It looked like you'd have to cross some wet stuff, and I really didn't know if we'd be able to get through that. It looked like it was pretty bad on a map, but it looked like it was possible we could get through it. So me and Greenhorn Dave set out to take this mile trek back into this public land and see what we could find. So we're scouting our way into an area. I want to look at something I mapped out with Dave, Greenhorn Dave.
What's up?
And this area coming back here is just like all thick brush. We actually went around the brush and are taking as high a ground as we can, but it's still, even on this high ground, it's just solid brush. But there's a lot more deer sign when we got up here more in the open stuff, which I don't think is going to be the case when hunting season comes around, because then they're going to be more in the thick. But right now, when they're in velvet and it's so thick, they're up top.
Yeah, right now it's thick because it's green, you know?
Yeah. But you know, we're looking for these lone trees and stuff. You think about where a deer would bed out here. Even in this thick stuff, they lay right here. They're in the sun for a while, right? So you see the cedar tree we looked at. We came over here, and what did you find, Dave?
Bed here, and another one tucked away in the shade is a little air-conditioned.
So you got any reason why there's a bed here and one in there?
I would say one here is if you look at all this greenery, right? At some point, these leaves drop, and then you can see right through this stuff. So right now, this is the cover, this is the screen, right? But when you get to later in the year, when the leaves come down, look how tight that is.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, this has got good cover now, you know, all the way around it.
This thing's never gonna, you know, this is a cedar, right? It's gonna keep its
but this will get more open.
It will, but still, when you get in there, right, it's behind the shade of the and this is facing, I think that's, this way's east here, so, you know, it'll be.
So it's good for west wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this bed right here is on a high spot, out of the water. Nice spot, and you see it's matted down. Probably more summer use though. You know, but when you look here, tucked in there, there's a worn bed, worn to the ground, but I don't see any use now.
No, there's stuff on it.
Let's, so if you get in here, you can see this bed has been used quite a bit. It's worn, but none of these plants are impacted. No. So it's worn at a different time of the year. You know, so that's got a lot of wear, but probably from last fall, not from now. You can see where he just lays in here. Yep. Little cave. Yep. Be a good spot. Yep. There's no deer trails in here. We kind of got to push one down and make one to go to where we want to go. This is a jungle. If we go that way, we're going to hit deep water. And the only way we're going to get around it, according to the mapping, is to go this way. Eventually we should hit a deer trail.
Sooner or later.
I think the deer have one now. Look behind you.
Oh yeah. That looks pretty good.
They'll probably start using that one.
Yep. Doesn't take them much.
How far do you think we've gone? Not quite a half mile, but quite a distance of just solid cattails and water. And pushing the trail through this stuff has been impossible in this humidity. Yeah. I'm sweating like a pig.
Yep.
We just got to get a little further, but we're starting to hit some real bad spots. Like right where I'm at right now, if you look at this, you can tell I'm just floating. The cattail roots are over just solid water. I mean, there's nothing under there. And man, if I go through, I'm going through bad. But it looks like if I can get like 10 steps, I can get over this real bad situation.
Yep.
And I can see some bushes in the distance. Maybe there's some dry land up there, but this is really getting sketchy.
It's it's not good.
Yeah, let's try and make it across this. Protect the camera as best you can.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sometimes, Dan, Mother Nature outbeasts the beast.
Yeah, you think? Yeah.
This might look not like a ton because it's all matted down, but that's all matted down from Dan trying to step on something, and there's really nothing there. So once Dan got basically doing the splits, we decided it's really thin.
Yeah, there's no getting back there, which is important. I mean, if we went back there, I mean, you're not gonna get much further. According to the map, there's even more open water ahead of us. But right here, I can't get through this even with the cattail roots. You just keep poking through and there is absolutely no bottom. There's actually a flow to the water here. I think there's like an underwater flowage or underground flowage. And we just can't get through, which is probably a good thing because it's keeping other people out of there. And we have a backup way to get back there. It's a bull crap way in a canoe going a mile and a half. But it's gonna get us to a place where it's starting to look like hardly anybody can get to.
Yeah.
I did see where somebody was crossing a river, the same one we'd canoe to get back there, probably with waders. but they're walking a mile to get to the river, to cross the river. And there's so much back there, I doubt they're not touching. That I think us going back there with a canoe would probably be a good thing, but I'm not getting through here. This is just too much.
That's really the next thing to try, and it's kind of interesting how this isn't as much of a deer scout as it is a spot scout, right? Like,
right.
What can you do, right? You think you can see it on Onyx as clear as pie, or as clear as day, you know, but...
I'm fairly certain from the scouting we did in the perimeter in spring, there's some big crap back there. It's just a matter of finding an access back there, and the harder it is, the better. This makes me smile. Yeah. Because if, quarter mile, you just walk through wet cattails, other people do it. Yep. When you get to the point where it's where I stop, nobody's getting back here this way. I think there's probably 1 or 2 people getting back there, mainly from private land. But I think we got to get back there. Yeah. I think that's a good area.
We'll hit it another day with different tactic.
I am literally just dripping in sweat. So are you.
Dripping in sweat, and then you can kind of see up to about here is where we went in. We got, 18-inch boots on, and we've swamped them several times. Yeah, there is something now wiggling around in my underwear. I don't know what it is. I'm hoping maybe it's a crayfish and it crawls its way out. I have no idea what it is, but... Could be a leech.
Could be.
All right, well, back out.
Back at it. Let's get out of here. As you can see, me and Dave didn't get very far. There's no way somebody was getting through that. Nobody was walking through that. Not unless it was frozen solid. So that, a lot of people would look at as a bad day. We spent a day trying to get out there and couldn't make it. And now how are we going to get there? People say that's a bad thing, And I look at that, and my glass is always half full, and I see that as a positive thing. I see this as good. If I can't get there, neither can anybody else. I got to find that one way in there to leave everybody else in the dust. So I kept looking. And I found a series of canals and rivers that connected together where I could go a very long distance but get into that public land via water. Looks like deer territory to me, huh? Isn't this where everybody deer hunts? We're gonna go down this canal here that I don't think very many people use and access the back end of some public property that I've been trying to get to. I tried coming in from the back side, couldn't make it because of deep water. Now I'm coming in this way, and I got a trek, and I know I'm gonna probably run into some obstacles, but we'll see what we run into. A lot shallower than I thought. I'm sitting on mud, kind of pushing my way through here, using up all my energy. It's a hard trek back here. Coming into the public land stuff now, and I see islands. Vast cattails. Hard to see much else. I might get up near that island and then check my coordinates, see where it is in relationship to the map, and decide whether I'm going to look at that or not, or go back further, because there's some stuff way, way back in about a mile that I want to see. If I can even get the kayak back that far, because I'm really like in 4 inches of water. There's a lot of muck, not much water. I thought this would have better flow in it. We're going on about a mile back now, and I can just barely back in there see the woods where I want to get to. Right up there. Man, this is remote. It'd be a pain in the ass to get back here and get in a stand and get a deer out of here, but from what I've seen, it's probably worth it. I took a ride around the property on the back side of the public that is just completely isolated by water. And right at midday coming in here to do this, there was a good buck and a bean field on the other side. So I'm excited about this. I don't know what I'm going to run into, but that stuff up there is what looks good on a map. I just got to get past all this grassy, swampy, miry you to death stuff, and just catching my breath here for a minute. It's been a long trek back here in this heat and sun. It's not like you're in timber. You're out in the open sun. I got my all my equipment. My camera's in a bag, my phone's in a bag, and I got everything else I need for the trip in a backpack I bought over at the Fleet Farm. And I'm ready to rock. Just gotta get in the woods. I don't know how far we're gonna get up, because when we get into timber, I would imagine we're gonna get into trees across the water and stuff. Then maybe we gotta get out and just beat through the grass to the trees to get in there and scout. We'll see what we run into. Right now, I'm going upstream, so now when I stop to talk, I keep drifting further and further back downstream. So quit talking here and get back to rowing before I drift too far back. Finally getting to where it's isolated. This creek is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It almost looks like you could jump across it, but you couldn't. I mean, you stick the oar in it, there's no bottom. But you couldn't even turn the kayak around. So narrow. Amazing. But we don't have much further to go. I can see the trees up ahead that I want to get off in, and then get up into the woods. And I think I got to get up to the trees because it's sketchy right here. If I get up into this grass, there's like potholes and stuff, and you'd be falling through your waist and all kinds of crap. If I can get up there, then I can get in and get to the back side of this swamp here where nobody goes, because you can't really get back here. Then I think I'm going to get into some action. We'll see. I'm excited to see this property. Been trying to get back here forever. And today's the day. Well, it looks like this is it. This is where it just gets so thick you ain't getting any further. But I'm almost to the woods, so I'm gonna pop her out right here and bust through this portion of the swamp to the forest and scout a little. Hopefully it's easier to get out, because the flow is going this way, as you can see on the water. So it might be easier paddling out of here than it was getting in here, I hope. The hardest part about this back in these swamps is the dismount. You get into these areas where everything's boggy and stuff, the whole edge is sketch. So I just went up against that tree right here. That was at the last spot, as far as I could get. And I took my oar and I pried the kayak against the tree. And I'm going to dismount onto this tree, grabbing these branches, and I'll pull the kayak up here, and then I'll launch right here and get back in right here when I leave. And in this kind of tangle, good thing we have Onyx nowadays to mark the boat. I don't have to search like the old days. Well, there you have it. I'm back over a mile of this little creek. This is as far as I could get, and it just got into a tangle. So I stopped the canoe right here, and we're gonna head up into this woods back in here. I wanted to show you, I brought my Lathrop & Son boots because I knew I'm gonna be in water over my boots. Even if I have knee highs, the Arxis boots come up to about here, and that's pretty good for most stuff, but back in here I'm gonna go through deep water, and I'm gonna get up to my waist probably, so I wore thin nylon pants. And I wore Lathrop & Son boots with no socks. No sense in throwing away another pair of socks, right? These are padded enough, I don't need socks on them. So I'm soaked to the bone. I don't know if you can see that. That was quite the oaring job to get back here. It's going to be interesting to get a deer out of here, but hey, that's what makes it fun, right? Never worried about where you kill a deer. Don't worry about it till it's down. So the kayak is right there. I literally took 10 paces, get in here, and this is just heavy networks of deer trails. Everything's trampled down. I can see a giant last year's rub right over there, real high up. This is looking good. Hey, look at this. These trails are busted down. Look at this trail. Nice. This one's rubbed too. This is solid deer trails. Look at this. Everywhere in here. This is just pounded. Yeah, there's an old rub there too, a nice big one. Just so pounded they look like people trail. There's a bunch of deer poop right there. You see that? Yeah, these leaves have just been turned over. See how they're upside down? Man, this is a network of deer back here. There's a fresh track right there. This is where they're at least right now. So what I'm thinking is they're probably laying down in this stuff, and where they meet that hardwoods, on the other side of that hardwoods is crops, and they probably come up out of this stuff and hunting that perimeter where they come out of the bedding would probably be key. Yeah, this is just solid deer tracks in here. This is amazing. Yeah, look at this trail here. This is just solid deer tracks. Yeah, you see where they're eating the jewelweed and the stinging nettles. This is just all tore up. Now we're getting into where we can actually hunt out of trees. Look at this. I'm liking this. Look at this trail coming through here. Trail coming through here, meeting here. And look at how tore up this is. This is just crazy. And literally, there are tracks in here everywhere. This is all tore up. All this jewelweed should be much higher. It's just mowed down. I don't know if you can see that the stems are all bit off. You know, it's just mowed down like a goat was in here. And you can see trails just everywhere. I mean, literally right here would probably be a good spot to hunt. I'm sure, you know, early season they're bedding right down in this marshy stuff. And if they're feeding on all this jewelweed and nettles, I could see this right here. Get out of the canoe and go 20 yards. Be a great spot. I don't have something pinned down here. I don't have a big buck pinned down here. But the sign shows me that. Now, truthfully though, what brought me back here was scouting the public on the other side where it is accessible. Find a hunter sign everywhere, but gigantic buck sign everywhere. And you're like, well, how are these bucks living here if there's this much hunting pressure? And then I'll look at the map, you're saying, well, geez, nobody can even get on the other side of this water system. And there's a fairly large piece of public on the other side of that water system. I'm fairly certain that them giant bucks are coming over here to get away from the people on the other side. It's the only way they'd survive all that hunting pressure. And it's sure looking to me like they're living over here. I don't know if you can see how heavy this trail is pounded into here. The milkweed's or the jewelweed's bitten off, the stinging nettles bitten off. This trail is just pounded to the ground. Look at that. There's a historical rub right there. Here's a bed right here. Pretty big one too. Obviously more of a summer bed, but man, this is crazy back here. There's another heavy trail going off that way, several going this way. You see where the hooves are cutting right into the roots here. Gosh, fresh poop right there. some of these trees are cut off right here on the public ground. I mean, it was done a few years ago, but somebody's back here trimming, so somebody's been back here. Historical. Big buck bed here. Here's a tree cut. And the land border's right here. There's some more cut on public. The land border's right there. And right on the corner of the land border is a stand, a gun stand. And they're coming right on the public and chainsawing down trees. That ain't allowed. But they probably figure they can get away with it because ain't nobody coming back here. But I'd be willing to bet these guys stick to their land and hunt under those box blinds, and the mature bucks kind of know about that and they stay back. So we're gonna get back in a little ways away from this guy. And I would think we can get away with bow hunting in here, because I think those guys are gonna be in here for gun, not bow. I think you'd have a hard time shooting a bow out of that thing. Whoa! That's not good. That went to my knee. I thought it was more firm than that. Now let's see if I can get out of it. Oh! Ain't gonna be easy. I really impacted into that. Nice. Man, this stuff smells beautiful. Look at that. And that's, my friend, is why I didn't wear socks. Pretty heavy deer trail going through here. Look, goes right through that crap that I just got stuck in. Look, they go right through it on a regular basis. Come out of all that grass and sun, and you get into this shadowy buckthorn thicket, and here's a bed right here, pretty well used. Now I would say obviously in the summer, but who knows, because there's a historical rub right there, a historical rub right there, and a historical rub right there, and a historical rub right there. So I guess they must be bedding in here during season as well, because this thing is surrounded by big rubs. That's good to know. That's pretty close proximity to that area I thought might be a good spot for a stand. It's right, the trails go right that way, and we're talking 75 yards. So this is good to know. I knew they had to be down here someplace, but maybe they're scattered in these little buckthorn things, because otherwise it's, I mean, you look at that, that grass is way too open. The sun is blaring on it. I mean, like right now, I'm enjoying it in here because it's nice and cool. When you get out there, it's hot. But I mean, this bed is completely surrounded by historical rubs, and they're decent ones. There's another bed right there I can see. And there's trails coming to this bed from several directions. This is interesting. Wouldn't doubt it if there's a couple more beds in this little thick spot as they move around as the wind shifts. Yeah, kind of looks like they lay right here. Yeah, there's tracks all stepping around in there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a bed too. Yeah, there's a rub there. Not as well worn as the other one, but it's a bed. And the other bed's right there. There's probably some on the edges too. There's a pretty good track. Look at that, impacted into the dirt. I'm not impacting the dirt. It's another historical rub. Interesting. I think we can go this way because it goes into more timber. Just kind of stay in the cover. Hopefully I don't get too lost. I'm not really tracking this because I'm just going to wander all over the place. I don't need to muddy the map up. There's a rub right there. There's another rub right here marking the entrance and exit. I got to be a little more careful out here. I was walking through the grass and I hit a hole and went down to almost my waist in water and muck. I can feel it flowing underneath me. I'm already in it, so I might try to cross it, but this is what I stepped in. I had no idea. I was just walking through the grass. Didn't know I was walking into a canal. I don't even know. Maybe I should back up because I'm having a hard time even moving in this crap. I have to shut the camera off. Crawl out of this hole. Well, good news is if you're watching this video, it means I made it out alive. Look at that crap. There's some hidden treasures out here. But without risk, there isn't reward. Look at that rub right there. You see a bed against that tree. You can tell they've been bedding here a little bit. It seems like they're getting in these shady areas. Looks like there's a bed right there too. You can tell where the debris kicked away. Oh yeah, there's a spot right there too. Pushed flat. Still a pretty open area back here. The trails seem to follow the cover. This is a fairly heavy deer trail. I mean, this has to be busted down quite a bit. Yeah, look at this. Big old pile of poop. See that? They're following this cover, which is the same thing I'm doing. Well, here's a bed. Man, it's got a big body size. One thing's for sure, they're not laying in that spot when the sun is out shining like this. That's probably a night bed after they're done feeding. It's been used a bit, but they ain't laying in the sun right there. Ooh, look at this, a swamp oak. Find a couple of those that are big enough to drop acorns. We got something. Where there's one, there's usually more. Probably a little further in, though. We're still kind of into small trees. There's a lot of buckthorn back here too in little patches. You wonder why it doesn't go rampant. But if you look at this, see how tore up it is right here underneath this buckhorn tree? And look at all the leaves as high as they can reach. See that? They're pounding those. I mean, I keep hearing biologists tell me that buckthorn is not a preferred food of deer. I'm seeing different. They eat this stuff like crazy. Here, they got a bed right here too next to the buckthorn tree. Here's some fresh ones. Look how shiny they are. Little known fact about the shiny ones. The shiny ones taste better, they're fresher. They don't get a little tainted by age. The trail's just pounded through here. A lot of stuff comes together right here on this point too. All them trails through here all kind of come into here. There's like a ridge system coming up here that like follows this ditch, and all the signs seem to stay along it because it's all open grass on the sides. You see all this jewelweed is just mowed down here on this crossing, and there's tracks everywhere where they're skidding up and down the hill here. They're just following this ridge. So I can see right away, my challenge is the good spots are all on this ridge system, and my spot where I can get to with the kayak is where the ridge starts. So I got a spot right there that I can hunt untainted. Do I hunt there, then move up to here, then move up to there? If I want to hunt some of these back ones, before I hunt those, I literally got to find a different way in here, I think. Either that or I got to open up that canal so I can get the kayak back further and then come into the ridge. For now, let's just find where the deer are, then we'll figure out access. So far, the deer seem to be everywhere. This would probably be an incredible spot to hunt during the rut. That's what I'm thinking. These trails through here are kind of funneling trails. And if those bucks are running up and down and through here, undisturbed, unpressured, it could be crazy. Literally, look at this trail, how wide open it is. I haven't hit one piece of garbage. I haven't hit, other than the stuff that was right on the land border, not one cut limb, not one sign of a hunter anywhere. But to get back here, you gotta almost die. now that I'm on the main ridge, it's got this main trail goes right up it. I mean, you go along this and everywhere, even if you get off of this ridge, there's these giant historical rubs everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, there isn't the kind of trees that hunters want to hunt out of. There's a few trees back here, so it's not as like it's treeless, but it's not the kind of trees most people hunt out of. I mean, you're gonna put your stand up there in that canopy. So if guys are getting back here, they're hunting off the ground or they're hunting with a saddle or something, but I don't see much sign of anybody, honestly. And the deeper I get in, I think the more that's gonna be the case. This trail coming through here is just incredible. It is just beat to the ground. Here is a giant oak tree. Wonder if that produces. I don't see any husks, do you? Oh, here they are. Look at that. From a couple of years ago. I'd be willing to bet that produces right this year. Because everything's been loaded with acorns this year. I don't know if there's any way to see up there. I can't really tell from this distance. I should have brought binoculars. When you look at the oak trees, the first thing I want to do is look around any rubs and stuff from historically from when there was acorns. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. Yeah. So all these trees are torn up when it was dropping acorns. I'll tell you something else too. This is a phenomenal number of rubs because they generally don't rub buckthorn, but that's all they have to rub out here. And most of the buckthorn places where I kill big bucks, zero sign other than tracks. This place has way more tracks, way more sign. It's kind of amazing. So this whole area is swamp, but this ridge has a few oak trees on it. This one's an oak too. And if these things are dropping acorns this year, which they should be, this is going to be a really hot area right here. It's the only place with acorns for a long ways. I scouted all the stuff on the other side of the river for miles. There ain't very many oaks around here. Look at these trails, man. It's just churned up like somebody took a rotor tiller down it. It's crazy. The trouble is getting in here. How you get in here without hitting these main trails, we'd have to come right through swamp and water, but we'll figure that out. So this is the area I was really looking at on the map. The ridge system that goes through all these swamps comes right through here at this high ridge and then fingers up into here, and then there's private land up there where when you zoom in you can see, food plots and crop fields, and I would imagine it's a major destination. I would imagine it's also being hunted, so they're slow about getting there. But coming through here, they're going to come up out of all these swamps into all these main trails. And coming down here, there was like 3 or 4 trails that come through right here. Right about to where the brush starts over there. And then when I look down here, there's a major trail down there, another trail right here. And right away, I looked at this tree. I can kind of hit everything, well over a mile and a half maybe, from the closest access. I mean, this is pretty tough to get into here. Even if you get access to get back here, you're gonna get wet. Interesting. Well, I'll move up a little bit and check some other stuff and see if we find something else. We'll probably do a setup back by those oaks someplace. And then I'll have a few starting positions in here and we'll see what happens. Got a real heavy deer trail right here. Real heavy. Nice rub right there. You turn around 5 steps over. It's like nice natural ground blind. Look at this chair. Nice padded chair. Look at that. Backstop, place to put your feet. Looks just like a chair, doesn't it? Same size and everything. Wonder if I can sit in that thing. Holy crap, it's comfy. Nice comfy chair. Schwack! Ghost blind. Stinging nettles over my head. Gotta get through this stuff. Really though, for whatever reason, maybe from years and years of doing this, I seem to be immune to this crap. This and poison ivy, poison sumac, none of that stuff seems to bother me. I get a little bit of a rash. I get a lot of it like this, but it'll go away right away too. So this doesn't bother me, but some people, if you came out here and scouted like I'm doing, you are gonna break out and you're gonna be sorry for a long time. But for whatever reason, it doesn't bother me. Looking at how that all lays out together and how all this landmass connects like a snake into one ridge system. It was really hard to see on an aerial because the elevation isn't that high. You know, so you don't see with the elevation as much, and you see trees spread out in like patches. But when you got in there, there's just enough elevation that you could follow a ridge line, and all the deer were doing it. The trails were all following these ridge lines. And you could see how that's one travel corridor through this whole thing. And that you could pick it off in about 3 different spots and hunt these deer all the way down this ridge line. I think it may have been a mistake to not wear a sock on this foot. That foot's fine, but this one, my little toe is in extreme pain from wearing in this corner, probably from between the water and muck and whatever. Yeah, I wore right through the skin. Look at that. Yummy piece of skin. So I'll just get these shoes off. Let my feet dry on the drive home. If you ever use these Lathrop & Son boots, they're a very sad boot until you get them muddy. That's a happy boot. These boots are way better than the Crispies and other competitors made by guys in Illinois. And if you buy this one, you can get 5% off by using code BEAST if you buy it online, or if you call them, guys. Lathrop & Sons. Long day scouting today, but actually most of the time was spent driving there and kayaking back. It was quite the kayak path. It was hard, you know. You hit spots where the mud goes all the way to the surface and you get stuck, and the distance was quite a distance, so I'm pretty sore. But it turns out, looking at that property, that it's like one kind of ridge line that runs through a swamp or a series of swamps, and all the deer seem to come up out of their bedding in the swamps and up onto that ridge line. And there's certain spots where the deer come up more, and you can tell there's bedding in little islands of buckthorn and stuff out in the grass. And there's some like key points to get daylight movement in there. But I think in rut that'd be just on fire with bucks going up and down that ridge line. Looks like a great area. It does look like it's going to be kind of hell getting back there to hunt, because it's hard to get the equipment on a kayak. I got a rack for it and stuff, but it makes it sink even deeper. And I was having a hard time getting through that mud and stuff. So I don't know if a canoe is going to get through there. I'm going to take a test run one of these days soon with a canoe. I'm not going to go in there and disturb that anymore, but I'll just go up that creek and see if I can get back there and then come out. If not, I'm also going to check a way that I can walk quite a distance and then cross the river. There's one spot where it's wooded, where the river, it looked like it would be, you know, waist deep, but it looked like sandy bottom. So maybe I can cross there without getting mired to death in the muck. So there'll be more to it. I'm still going at it. That one property, I mean, we've been going around it, checking the perimeter properties. And it's got some potential. The stuff on the easy access side has a lot of big buck sign, and it has a lot of pressure. So it's like, well, how are these bucks surviving? You know, they're coming from the other side. So I know the potential, and getting back there, man, I haven't seen that much sign on a property in many years, especially not in Wisconsin. You know, that looked like you're down in Iowa or something on some pristine land or on a lease. It was pretty good for public land. So just got to be able to find a way to get back there during hunting season and get it done. I got the spots picked out, and I will find a way. It should be a killer rut spot. And where those oaks were, that should be a pretty good early season spot. And right where I dropped the boat looked like it was an early season spot. Hell, it's hot right now. There's deer sign in there right now. Right now wouldn't be a bad time to hunt it. Matter of fact, I'd hunt any one of those 3 spots right now. But I think there's some key timing. You know, early season in the spot by the kayak, early season by the oak trees, and then rut, you know, by the oak trees and by the last spot, and get those deer funneling.